He's got a smile on his face. 35 points for J.J. Redick.
Oh, yeah?
3-second difference between game clock and shot clock. LeBron Williams, this is one guy you got to try to find. Gets it off. Ties up to 2 in the last minute. 27 for McCann. Still on. Trying to ball too hard. Here comes Felton. 4 seconds to go. Stop with it. Oh, what a game. Unbelievable. Who gets out of here? Shall not enter guard lane. Neil Everett and Scott Van Pelt are waiting on Sports Center with 2 minutes left in this game. Mr. Van Pelt's happy. His Terps got to win. Redick for 3 again. How big is that?
Got 2 shooters, Matthew Hurt and Alex O'Connor. Position. Got the miss. Jones, can he get a shot off? Yes! Jones knocks it down to tie the game.
Here comes the ball.
It's good to hell, Carolina, go to hell week. 5 point play
Carolina, go to hell.
What a difference 96 hours makes. Going into that Clemson game, the controversy at the end, beating them, going to Virginia Tech, everybody predicted us to lose because we always lose there. Winning that game handily, and then watching Carolina lose in comical fashion on the road at Georgia Tech. Just shut the fuck up. It is Carolina week. And let me just tell you right now, 96 hours before we were talking, how does Duke match up to Carolina? Is there any chance they can do it? We're going to get into all the matchups. First, my main man here, drinking his red wine. Back for a second time this season, Ben. I don't know what we did to get you back here, but I appreciate you coming on.
Had to pay him a lot. All the Patreon dollars.
Yeah. glad to be here, guys. Thanks for having me, man. This is great. It's a lot of fun. You guys know I listen to your podcast every time it comes out. It's a great discussion, and I've been listening to you guys say what I think we said when I first came on here was, guys, just chill out. This team will gel. It'll get there. Just relax. You're starting to do it, right? And you got that rotation down like we talked about. Everybody's finding their roles. Everybody's finding a spot. And then Shire listened to you all and found minutes for Stewart. And look what happened.
Clearly listen to the pod because friend of the podcast.
100%. And you're exactly right. Look, after all the commotion, and I kind of really want to bring it back to the start of January where we sat on this podcast and looked at the January schedule. And we're like, okay, let's we're obviously going to pick Duke to win every single one of these games in January, right? But we know that there's a loss in there somewhere. Did we think that it was going to be against Pitt at home? No, probably not. But we also didn't anticipate that we'd be down 2 starters, Jeremy Roach and Mark Mitchell. At the end of the day, though, we come out of there with 1 loss, which is 7-1 on the month. Duke is 16-4. We're 7-2. And now we're going to Carolina, and we have a chance to get within a half game of the top seed, and then we play again Wednesday. So, look, everything's right out there in front of us now. So we got a little bit of the help that we needed, and now we got a lot of momentum. We won 11 of 12 games. Carolina, who had won 10 games in a row, now lost. They're reeling. So
I could just about North Carolina right now.
Good point, Roy. And so, really, Jack, I want to start with you because I want to do a real quick recap of what happened in the 2 wins that Duke had, and you can kind of just break down everything that you saw in Cameron. You had like front row seats apparently. So
I did.
Jack was with the team. He was with the team.
First row behind the grad student section.
Yeah. So talk about that game, the emotions that were there, how you were feeling with 2 minutes to go, and then obviously Tyrese knocking down those 2 free throws. We said in the podcast prior, if you actually go back, I should have cut a reel for this. We said we're not worried, and I quote, we are not worried about Tyrese Proctor. He's going to hit them when it counts. Prophecy. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, he did hit them when it counted, but my goodness, just free throws. The amount of missed free throws in that game, crazy. It was upsetting. It kind of reminded me back in February of 2018. I went up to Madison Square Garden to see Duke play St. John's, and that game ended up being a loss, but almost almost came back and won that game. I remember screaming no as Trevon Duvall took a corner three that ended up going in and kind of sparking a Duke run. Did the same thing when Flip put up that shot that ended up becoming an and one that he made the free throw for. That really, I believe that put Duke back into the lead at 70-69.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I'm not positive on that, but it just, the same exact thing came into my mind. It was, this is going to spark something for Duke. It ended up happening. PJ Hall, of course, did his thing on the other end. And then Tyrese. It was a foul, by the way. I was right there. It was a foul. I don't want to hear anything.
Multiple
It
fouls
was a
on that
foul.
call.
Yeah.
It wasn't a
There were
foul.
a couple
It
of
was
different
like
things that could have
3.
been. Yeah. There were a couple things that could have been called. At the end of the day, it was a foul. I don't want to hear it. Duke won. Tyrese hit the free throws. There was not a foul on the other end. PJ Hall just kind of flailed into
Should have
Mark.
been an offensive foul, actually. Should have been a charge.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, it was.
Quite honestly.
It was a 12-point lead that became 6 by half, and really just neither team deserved to win that game, but Duke did. So I'm not complaining.
And
And
back
then
to the free
Virginia
throw point.
Tech. Yeah.
Back to the free throw point real quick, Jack, because you brought that
Of
up,
course.
and I think that's important.
It is.
Like looking at it, so up until the Notre Dame game, because Notre Dame game is the last game that we shot over 80% from the line, which
That's
a couple
disgusting.
of shots here and there, you were 80% or you're 66%. I know how that works. However, that's the last time we were over 80% from the line. We're 75% on the season in that stretch. The last 6 games we're like 65%. So this team is capable of hitting free throws. I think they've shown that. I think we're just in a bad funk, honestly. And it's obviously made some closer games than we want, but I don't see this as an indicative thing like we can't hit free throws down the stretch. This is my opinion.
I also just want to say Flip is definitely fatigued. He's been, he's been holding his own on defense. He's been doing really well defensively.
Mhm.
And he's being asked to be a first option on offense. Like, that takes a toll on you physically. I really think the situation that Duke's in right now, where it's the short layover, the Saturday to Monday that they had this week. Now nothing until Saturday, and then the long layover Saturday to Wednesday next week. I think that's really good, not only for Flip to kind of recover, get his stamina back, but also Roach and his ankle, whatever that situation is. And just the team as a whole, they've really been playing a little gassed recently.
Yeah, I think Pablo, I know that was a point that you were trying to make to the Twitter warriors that are out there bashing Flip game in and game out about, lack of intensity and all these other things. You can say a lot of things about Flip, but the one thing is that he's getting the primary attention of defenses every single night. Whether they're doubling, they're tripling him, everything revolves around him, and then he has to, almost play out of position somewhat at the 5 on defense. So just kind of talk about Flip and quiet some of the haters up.
Yeah, so I think was that last week we talked about that. I kind of just brought up the point to just everybody shitting on Flip and just kind of questioning his heart and his play and his offensive game or whatever. And I just brought up the point, and a lot of people chimed in. I had people hit me in the DM. It was like, damn, I never thought about that. Just to the point of, it's like if you're the number one, you know what I'm saying? If you're the number one option on offense, and then you got a guard on defense, you like the anchor on
The number one, just say it, the number one target on defense, because they're trying to foul him out.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're gonna be the number one on the scouting report regardless. You know what I mean? Being Flip, he's gonna be number one on the scouting report. Defenses are gonna try to take him out of stuff, but they're also gonna try to, put him in a lot of action too to create fouls and just do different things. So, I mean, it's gonna take a toll on him. So you see, anytime we play a team that has a, somewhat of a good post player or somebody that he really has to guard, his offensive game, he just look at the numbers. It doesn't really. You know what I mean? He doesn't really play that, like, he don't have the gaudy numbers on offense is what I'll say. You know what I'm saying? It's because he's using so much energy, you know what I mean? And we don't have the depth to, I mean, I guess now we, kind of experimenting a little bit more with Sean Stewart and shit like that. But, having Ryan Young is a plus, but You know, we're gonna have those games, man, where and it might be one on Saturday, to be honest with you, because he's gonna have to do a lot on defense. You know, I mean, even though Baycott is not having like the crazy offensive output or whatever, but he just got to use a lot of energy, especially against a guy like Baycott. He's big, really active on the offensive rebounds. You know what I mean? He's got to put a body on him. He's got to keep it on him. You know what I mean? And he's going. I don't know, man. I don't know. Our guards are going to have to win this game.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing I'm going to say about Flip, and I'm going to sound like I'm talking about both sides of my mouth, but Flip is the number one option on offense, yes, but Duke can withstand a bad night from Flip, correct? Multiple guys.
We talked about that a lot.
But yeah, he is our go-to on defense because he's the biggest, he's the strongest, he's the most athletic, as in moving around the box. So, but you can miss me with like the I'm tired stuff because you asked to be the guy, you knew you were going to be the guy, now you're the guy. So, fully healthy, I'm going to need you to go. And I don't need you to score 20 a night. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing, though, D, is that he's still playing hard. He's still doing what he wants to do. You know what I mean? But other things are going to suffer. Like, you got to think about it, right? Yeah,
but it's an adjustment, though.
Be fatigued. But like, what happens?
He's a sophomore.
But what happens when you fatigue, though? You know what I'm saying? The legs start to go.
Yeah,
that's gonna fuck with the. That's gonna fuck with your free throw shooting. It's like, it's just that's how it is, man. He's not me, man. He's not Superman.
But we're also not saying
the fact that he's still getting to the line. The fact that he's still getting to the line that much is impressive.
It is
absolutely,
and he will. Eventually, he'll make those.
To go back to that, this is development. He's a sophomore, so he hasn't had that target yet. He had that target a little bit last year. He hasn't had that target yet. So yeah, you're like, miss me with the I'm tired. Okay, I get it. We're not saying that he can't recover from this. We're not saying that he can't finish the season out great, whatever else. All we're saying is right now, this is an adjustment, especially in January. This is an adjustment. Being the number one target on both sides of the ball. Yes, he's going to be expected to do this if he wants to be a pro. Understandable. You got to play 82 games just like this. But rarely does anybody just get it right the first time. So he's going to have a bad stretch of games, in my opinion, and I think he's going to recover throughout February and March. That's my opinion on this. And
I don't even think he's had a bad stretch of games.
He's not even far off of his averages right now. He averages 17 a game. He just had 7. Let me finish, my dog. He had 17 the other night. He had 9. He had 14. And he's still rebounding like a monster. So I'm good with it. Like, he's gonna have a bad stretch. Like you said, we can afford to have bad stretches from Kyle. We can't afford to have bad stretches from Mark Mitchell. We can't afford to have bad stretches probably from Jeremy Rhodes. Those are like the two players that we really have trouble replacing. And we've talked about that before on this podcast.
But also Duke needs Flip on the floor.
They do. And he will be on the floor. That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I was going to talk out of both sides. Like, Duke needs Flip on the floor regardless.
Yeah, sure. And he'll be on the floor. He's not going to not be on the floor unless he's hurt, in my opinion.
So you got to miss me with the tired stuff. I need
he's still gonna get tired though, D. He's still gonna get tired, and then it's gonna be things that's gonna take him off the floor because he's gonna go through those stretches where he's tired. He's gonna do stupid shit like foul somebody for no apparent reason whatsoever. They're gonna have to take him off the floor. You know what I mean? And he's just gonna go through the motions. You know what I mean? But I think he's getting better at it. He's learning. A lot of people are saying stuff like, "Oh, he's checked out." I'm like, where the fuck do you guys get this from? Like, I don't even understand that kind of language.
Tired's a part of the game, and the coaches. Tired's a part of the game, and the coaches are going to figure out ways to help him out. Whether that's more Sean Stewart, whether that's Ryan Young, whether that's a different defensive scheme, they're going to find ways to help him out. Whatever.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's move on real quick because I want to finish the segment up, and we got to talk about UNC. But Ben, I'll bring you in here. Obviously, you go up to Blacksburg, right? And I mean that's not far from you, right? Where you are, Ben?
About 35 minutes or so. I mean, it's a short drive south on 91.
Were you there?
No. So I haven't even seen the full game yet. So I was at a seminar for this in a court thing that I'm a part of for work. And I was listening to a presentation. One of the law firms in town was involved in the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. They were representing Amber Heard. So I was sort of listening to that, but really I had my phone out getting updates on the score.
Yes, sir. Way more important. Clearly more important.
Look, and the weird, like, I know the guy who was the attorney I'm not going to mention his name here because I don't want the Johnny Depp people to go crazy again and start firebombing that law firm virtually like they did. I mean, it was crazy what they did to him. He's a really good guy. His daughter is my daughter's age, literally same birthday, and he's a good guy. So I felt bad not really fully focused on it, but I'm like, man, this is Virginia Tech. They've kind of owned us at Castle for a while. We gotta make this one happen, and they did. You know, they did. I caught the very end of it. I mean, that's a big win for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, huge win. Obviously, kind of just summation of the game is every time Virginia Tech made a little bit of a run, Duke countered. Whether it was the huge rebound at the end from Sean Stewart giving Jeremy Roach another opportunity to hit the dagger at the end of the first half, whether it was Caleb Foster kind of opening the
and
game
the troll
up.
after them. Don't skip over the troll.
Yeah,
Don't skip over the butt
troll in
pat.
there. But if it was, Caleb Foster kind of opening that first three minute stretch of the game where we couldn't find a bucket and they were hitting, Caleb Foster came out and knocked down a couple threes and another bucket. If it wasn't, Mark finding Jeremy Kane for a huge three to get it up into a multiple possession game. Every time something happened, we countered, and we countered with a huge punch. Ryan Young played phenomenal. Jeremy Roach, just warrior out there. Tyrese just continues to cook. Jeremy Kane, not even his best shooting night, but had 10 rebounds. So the guy just continues to do everything that's asked of him. Just a huge quality win, and a win that AC, I'll bring you in because we're going to start the UNC conversation here.
Well, let me just close on one thing though.
Yeah.
Flip, because this is one thing that I did want to say because it's an interesting conversation that's going back and forth. Keep in mind, Flip is averaging just about 2 blocks a game, and he's right just about at 3 assists. And I get we want more production from him offensively, but I get it. He's 7 feet tall, but he is not a natural 5. And he's not like a Robert Parrish kind of a guy who can just go down there or like a Charles Oakley and throw people around. That's just not who he is. And for him to do that, and he's close to a double-double. He's like 1.3 rebounds a game away from a double-double. I'm just saying for him to do those things, we may have to accept that his offense is just going to be a little bit off. It may not be what we were hoping for. But what we saw with Virginia Tech, guys stepped up when they needed to step up. Foster stepped up. Proctor hit those shots. Roach hit that dagger at the end of the first. I mean, the team is starting to gel. But how that's going to be against the Tar Heels, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. And I think it's a great point, though, in terms of Flip. Again, he's, like AC said, Pablo, he's learning his role. I hear what D's saying, too. I think when you're asked to be that guy, more expectations are there for you. So I think that's fair, too. One thing talking about, though, going into the Blacksburg, coming off that 72-71, just pulling it out of your ass type win against Clemson. Everybody feels like you're going to lose this game going up to Blacksburg. And then also, you're talking about, okay, well, then an undefeated in-conference UNC team is going down to Georgia Tech to play in Atlanta. I guarantee you, AC, that when we won that game as handily as we did against Virginia Tech, because that game was over with about 10 minutes to go in the second half.
Yeah.
And we were kind of able to, play snowball there, play snowball and all that sort of stuff. I think when they saw that, they were like, oh shit, we actually got to win this game now, and they played tight. I watched that entire game last night against Georgia Tech.
Maybe some of it's tight and some of it's actual scheme. Some of it is Georgia Tech exploited an actual weakness against UNC, which we're going to get to later, and then we'll probably touch on it more in the coach's corner when we do it tomorrow. But it wasn't so much tight. It was Georgia Tech, just like they did to us, exploited an actual weakness that UNC has. And whereas we have been able to work on that weakness and fix the weakness, which was the pick and roll option defense, UNC doesn't have they don't have the tools to fix what we fixed. So good luck, Tar Heels. Good luck, bitches. But no, like we finished that game from start to tip. Like it was over from the jump. Virginia Tech we talked about before. They didn't have whatever they needed to match up against us. And everything that they did, we matched. If they hit a 3 and got the crowd into it, we hit a 3 next possession. They got a dunk. We got a dunk next possession, probably from Ryan Young. So
Shout out Ryan
it
for
was
that.
just-
Seriously.
Right, nah, for real, man. Like, well, I know we're gonna talk about him in a second, but it was just that was just, I know it was only 10 points, but that was dominating. That was truly dominating, man. Like we beat them at whatever they wanted to try, and we took Couture out of the game like we talked about. We made their guards' lives miserable. We funneled it to MJ Collins, which shout out to him. He hit a couple shots to start the game, didn't finish the game because he's not that type of player. So we did exactly what we said. Read the scout, play the scout, trust the scout, and just beat this team and get out of here with a win. And we did that exactly. And like Ben talked about, the gravity of Kyle Filipowski is enormous because yes, everybody's going to funnel down to Flip, but everybody playing off of Flip and being able to score off of his action is huge. And we just continue to do that, man. And this team, that's why I say this team is built for a Final Four run, because you can shut all that shit down on us. You can try to shut Flip down, you might. You can shut down some of the threes, you might. But we're still we have a counter. We have a counter to everything that you want to do to us.
Yeah, D, I wanted to jump you in here because you make a great point in the spaces after the Virginia Tech game, is that all the local radio is talking about how does Duke match up with UNC, but to your point, D, talk to them. How does UNC match up with Duke?
Get him, D. Get him.
Not well. I mean, Proctor's going to play 30. I mean, I'm serious. Like, Proctor's going to play 38 minutes. McCain's going to play 38 minutes. There's nobody on UNC who's going to be able to guard Proctor to get downhill if he wants to do it. RJ is going to get locked up by Proctor. Cadeau's not an issue. He can't guard you downhill. I mean, I don't like Pablo said earlier, this is going to be our guards win the game type of game. And I don't know how they stop all four of them. One can have a bad game, but I don't know how you can stop all four of them.
Yeah, Pablo, get in here and talk about the guards matchup first before we get into the front court.
Like guard wise, honestly, it's gonna be. I think it's a close matchup. You know what I'm saying? I think if you look at it, they do a lot of stuff. They do a lot of what we do. As far as guard wise, like Cadeau, I disagree, D. When you said he's not going to be an issue, I totally disagree. I think he's an excellent young point guard, really figuring out some things in that
Just
offense.
remember what Kylan Boswell did to us.
I don't think it's going to be an issue on defense.
Well, as far as defense, I think our guards, regardless, I think our guards are going to be able to do what they, pretty much not what they want to do, but I don't see that being the problem. What I see being the problem is on us playing defense on them, and those guys can play, man. I mean, don't sleep on those guys. RJ is out there to do one thing, and that's score the ball, and he can score the ball. Elliott is out there to do a few things. You know what I mean? He's not a primary scorer, but he can score. He's more distributing the ball. So it's gonna be interesting, man. I think they do, like I said, I think they do a lot of what we do, and it's a little similar, but they're more guard dominant, you know what I mean, than us. You know what I mean? We don't rely on our guards as much as North Carolina do, because they don't have like a low post presence that could get you 30 like Flip. So I don't know. I think it's going to, we playing at Carolina. I think it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun game. I mean, we win, obviously, but it's going to be a fun game, man. I really like this North Carolina team. I really do like this North Carolina team.
They're a well-built team, but I'll say this. If you close out on Cormac and you close out on Ingram and you make Davis and Baycott beat you, it's going to be a long night for Carolina.
And I'll say this. Let me say this real quick. Out of that whole North Carolina lineup, the only person I won't ever be concerned with is Cormac Ryan. That's it. Everybody else, and I'm not saying he's a bum. I'm not. Don't get me wrong.
Right. I know what you're saying.
Don't give him open three.
I don't try not to talk bad about players or whatever, but I mean, I just think on the offensive end, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's the only one on that team that if he scores 20, it really ain't gonna matter. You know what I'm saying? They lose. You know what I mean?
And
so
I see what you're saying, Pubs, and I'm closer to D's side on this because I see exactly what you're saying, which is they are more guard reliant than we are.
For sure.
However, our guards are better than their guards, and
I agree.
And our post is better than their post. So that's where I'm with. I'm more on the D side of it's going to be easier for our guards to do what they have to do. Like if Carolina wins this game for some odd reason, their guards did some Herculean type shit because they really played, elite to win this game. Because like you're saying, they have to rely on them so much. But if we are disciplined in our switch defense, if we hard hedge, if we do all those things in that pick and roll, if we let you funnel the ball to Armando, you really do, because it's going to be inefficient twos. Just don't foul him. Don't foul him. Let him get those inefficient.
That's the problem, though. That's the problem, though.
He's only going to get you. He's only going to get you 23. He's only going to get you 23. That's it.
But
he's going to get you 23. He might get you. He might get you 12 boards.
If he gets you 23 with
that's expected though.
With 3 fouls in the first half, that's a problem.
I'm just saying, don't foul him. Don't foul him. Let him get it. Just like Sean May. It's just like Sean May back in 04. If you let Sean May get his 20, but you shut the other shit down, you were good. You shut down Rashad McCants. You shut down Jawad Williams when you let Sean May get 20. You were fine.
Yeah.
The problem is people didn't figure that out. So you let go, just like they do with Zach Edey, just like Northwestern's doing right now with Zach Edey. Let him get his 20. Let him get his 20 and 12, and it's not going to be efficient.
Shout out Chris Collins.
Let me just be really, really clear though, like on what I'm saying though, right? Well, like guard wise, do I think our guards are better? Absolutely, but I think we have more guards. I think our 4 guards are better than their 2 guards that they have.
Right, and that's what I mean.
I only worry about 2 guards. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I'm saying. We have more options. Right,
so,
we got more options. We have more versatility, and we have the ability to let somebody get their 2 points when we're going to get 2, 3, get to the line, all the other stuff because of our backcourt. That's all I'm saying. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm more on D side. I'm not saying that they won't. I'm not saying Carolina's guards won't be good. I'm just more on D side of their guards are going to have to do some. They're going to really have to lift some weight for this team to win this game. That's all.
But it's North Carolina versus Duke. Of course they're gonna play lights out. So I mean,
it's at Carolina, so you have to expect that somebody like that.
Of course, Seth Trimble is going to have 25. Of
course, you're going to expect somebody like Seth Trimble or Jalen Washington to have the game of their lives. But Jack,
exactly,
I'm going to bring you in here. What matchups are you more specifically looking at from a kind of a one-on-one that you think that can make or break this game?
Mitchell versus Ingram.
Yep.
I think Harrison Ingram and how he performs is going to be Carolina's key offensively.
Didn't he get a little banged up too after that Georgia Tech game?
I think he is.
He'll be fine.
Don't quote me on that, but I do think
I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm just saying I think he's a little banged up. That's all.
I'm intrigued because again, I think Duke's going to try to funnel the ball to Ingram. We'll talk about that a little more later, and a lot in the coach's corner. I think Duke's going to try to funnel the ball to Ingram though, and make him either score or facilitate.
I would absolutely make that dude shoot. I know he shoots 40% from 3. Make him shoot.
Yeah,
make
but
him
the
shoot.
low volume.
Make him shoot tough
ugly
shots.
Form.
Make him shoot.
Yeah.
And then Cormac shoot tough ass shots from the corners or whatever, and live with whatever Baycott and RJ give you.
Not RJ, but Baycott, yes.
Because there's nobody on Carolina's team who can match up with Duke. Nobody.
Yeah.
Like
I'm interested to see how Mark does against Ingram though, because that's probably the closest physical matchup that Mark's going to have all season.
Do you think
most
that?
Equal.
Do you think we put Mark on Baycott and let Flip play Ingram, because Ingram is tertiary on the offense?
I wouldn't.
Sure.
That keeps Flip out of foul
Absolutely
trouble.
Not.
Okay.
Yeah,
you need Flip with the size.
It could work.
I'm looking from a standpoint of they're going to get the ball to Armando. They don't get the ball to Harrison Ingram, and he's not a driver. He's not somebody who's going to post you up. Flip on Ingram, in my opinion, takes him out of the foul trouble game immediately. Like you put him on Armando, he's going to have 3 fouls by the first segment.
Ingram's the first or second guy.
He won't have a foul in the entire first half. That's all I'm saying.
It forces Mitchell to guard Baycott, and I think that's
fine. Let Mark float and let Baycott get his 2 points. I don't care about his 2 points. I don't give a fuck about his 2 points. Look at I don't give a fuck behind me. I don't give a fuck about his 2 points. I don't care about his 2 points. Let him get them.
Ben, we got to
two
get
points.
AC catch his breath here. Ben, come in here, kind of right the 5-point play ship a little bit here. During Carolina, we get a little
Go to
rambunctious.
South Carolina.
Only a little. Only a little.
Yeesh. Goodness.
All right. So here's what I think, and let me just be straight with you. I mean, probably like you guys, you only have so much free time. Why am I going to waste it watching Carolina games? I'm not going to do it. I mean, I'm not going to watch Carolina games in my free time. I'm just not going to do it. So the only amount of Carolina that I've seen all season was like the last 10 minutes of the Georgia Tech game last night, because I saw on Twitter that it was blowing up and Carolina might lose, so I watched it. But I do think RJ Davis, he can make plays. And if he takes control of the game, that's going to be an issue. If he gets going, he gets cooking, he starts kicking out to people, he starts getting those crap foul calls, which we can talk about for a while, that's going to be a problem. I think, though, Proctor is going to be important here. Roach is going to be very important. But let's just say this. You're talking about who's going to guard Baycott. This could be a game where Sean Stewart comes in, starts blocking shots, getting a lot of rebounds, redirecting things. Ryan Young's probably going to have to play some minutes. This could be a game for Stewart for him to make a name for himself and really be a key part of the team going forward. But I do think the issue of how you manage flip and potential foul trouble is going to be very important. But I like our guards. I like our depth at guard. And I like how Proctor plays defense at guard. I like what he can do on both sides of the floor. But it's going to be a guy that, a lot of times you see a guy step up that you weren't expecting in some fashion of the game. Like when Kyle Singler was a freshman and he had a double-double and he played the 5 and everybody was saying, nobody saw that happen. It could be something like that. But I'm just going to say if you can keep Davis in his kind of zone and not let him go beyond that, like keep him kind of around his average, like we did with who was the guy at Clemson that came in from Syracuse where he was a non-factor. Yeah, he was a non-factor for most of the game. Okay, if we can do that or neutralize him to some extent, and Proctor's going to have to play great D, which we know he can do. I think that's going to be very, very important. But again, I'm not going to spend my free time watching the Tar Heels. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's probably a pretty smart move, especially for your blood pressure. It's just not worth it. The game on Saturday will give you enough for a lifetime. But I think he makes a good point about the Proctor. To me, the Proctor RJ Davis matchup is the bowl game. Whoever shows that they're the better point guard, the better player, the better leader for their team, I think is ultimately the team that is going to win this game. And the thing is that Proctor has, the length, the athleticism, and the moxie, quite frankly, to take RJ Davis out of the game. And that doesn't mean that RJ Davis won't get his 18 to 20, but if it's 18 to 20 on 17 to 20 shots, I live with that all day. I have no problem letting RJ Davis get 20 points if, you kind of employ the same defensive strategy that Stoudemire did for Georgia Tech, which is almost like, go ahead, RJ, you get yours on 24 shots, but we're not going to let the rest of the team beat us. And, I think that he did that very well, and I think you can see some of the same tactics that we used against Virginia Tech, where you're kind of, running some of these guys off the line and, saying our guards are better than your guards on offense, and our guards cook. And I think that's what's going to happen in this game. I think it'll be a battle for the first, 25, 30 minutes, but then we start imposing our will because our 4 guards are better than any other 4 guards in the country. So that's what I think is ultimately was going to be the difference in this game, and it's going to be led by Tyrese Proctor. Jack, your boy Triple B Baycott,
He's AC's boy, not mine.
Well,
Hey.
he's still catching. But Jack, I want to get you in on talking about the Baycott matchup because like any other game, I think it's the last 3 games he's had 9 points. So you have to expect that he's going to come out here, in his 19th opportunity at home against Duke to put up, a big game. what do you see Duke doing strategically to try to limit that and really try to keep him from getting 20 rebounds?
Crash the glass with Flip and Mitchell. Obviously, McCain, amazing rebounder. I wouldn't be shocked if Jared McCain out-rebounded Mark Mitchell. Well, yes, but Armando Bacot this game. I would not be surprised if that happened. If Jared out-rebounded Bacot.
Bacot hasn't had double-digit rebounds in 5 games.
Exactly. He had 9 and 9 against Georgia Tech.
He looked off.
The thing with Bacot is they're really kind of using him as a decoy for Davis this year, forcing someone to double off, and someone gets open. It always ends up being RJ Davis with the ball, and everyone collapsing on him, but too little, too late.
And Jack, one of the things that's happened, we're going to touch on this in Coach's Corner. They utilize pick and roll more than they ever have in the history of North Carolina basketball, and the fact that they're taking him away from the basket, his offensive rebounding numbers have
they've tanked this year, haven't they?
Completely tanked. This dude he used to average like 5 to 6 offensive rebounds a game, which is insane. That's an insane number. Kudos to him, but that's why his rebounding numbers have been so good. Now teams are pulling him out on the perimeter on defense, so he's not getting those boards, and he's also now running that pick and roll. RJ's just getting to the rack and doing what he does. Armando hasn't been able to get any offensive boards, so I'm not saying we sleep on him. What I'm saying is you can continue to attack him in that way, and you minimize what he does. At that point, Armando Bacot is nothing but a mid-level big at that point. Like, you're averaging, you get 9 points and you get 6-7 boards. You're nothing.
You're not a difference maker. Oh.
Right.
I think the big thing with him also is he keeps getting burnt on switches on those pick and rolls defensively. Duke is a team that is right now built around the pick and roll with
short roll is going to kill
the short roll. The short roll with either Mitchell or Filipowski is going to destroy Bacot.
It's Bacot's 7th year at the program. What else does he have to prove, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, this is 19
He's been there longer than the coaching staff.
Pablo, kind of break it down though for us in terms of how do we play Bacot? How does Bacot try to guard Flip? Because I feel like that's a huge matchup as well.
Yeah, so I mean, traditionally, if you go back and look at it, Bacot he's had a lot of success guarding Flip. Especially like last year. I mean, he did a good job on Flip.
He was on Flip last year, though.
Yeah, I thought it was Leaky. I thought Bacot. Bacot was on D Live.
Listen to what I'm saying. What I'm saying, as a secondary defender, he was on Lively because Lively wasn't that much of an offensive threat other than being vertical spacer. So that gave Armando a lot of time to just roam and get the weak side blocks. You know what I mean, and do double and just do different things like that, and pretty much clog the paint. So, I mean, this year they have the same kind of thing, but they don't have the length that they had until the old boy from what's the old boy that comes in after Ingram?
Washington.
Yeah. That's when Armando does a little bit more roaming. With Washington and not when Ingram's in. But you know, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I'm telling you, it's gonna be interesting. As long as Flip is in the game, I feel good. I feel confident. If he gets in foul trouble, I'm telling you, we could be in trouble.
Sure,
I'm telling you,
we
can get in trouble.
That's why I beg and plead. Let Flip can handle it. Flip can play anybody on the program. Put Flip on Ingram. Please put Flip on Ingram. Yeah. Mark is not going to get in foul trouble because Mark's going to play straight up. Jalen Washington only plays 7-8 minutes a game. I ain't worried about that. I'm not worried about that. Okay. And we've shown already with Armando, with the Paulo team, when you have a versatile big like Flip or Paulo, Armando's toast. He's toast. He can't guard. So we're going to get him in plenty of switches. We're going to get him in plenty of switching. I think Armando is going to be on Mark Mitchell, and I think that Flip is going to have Harrison Ingram on him, in my opinion. I think Harrison Ingram is going to guard Flip. That's how I feel it's going to go. I mean, because they're going to do the same thing and do with Leaky Black last year.
Ingram's a bigger problem for Flip than Flip is for Ingram, in my opinion.
I don't think so. Ingram doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything as the primary play. As the primary player, he doesn't do anything.
Like this, he's literally.
What do you mean he doesn't do anything?
He's the first.
No, listen to what I'm saying. Just listen to what I'm saying. Don't overreact. As the primary player, are you going to come down? Are you going to bring the ball down from baseline and then throw it to Harrison Ingram and say, go
Yeah.
get me a bucket individually.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
are with Harrison Ingram?
Absolutely.
With Harrison Ingram, you're going to say, go get me a bucket individually. Okay, if you're saying that, then we're going to win by 20. Harrison Ingram doesn't do that. That's not his game, y'all. That's not his game. He's a secondary player, tertiary at best.
He doesn't.
No.
Let's get Pablo a chance here.
Yes, awesome.
I don't know, man.
I hope that happens. Yes, please.
All right, Pablo, go ahead.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I disagree with that.
Let that happen. Let Harrison Ingram be their primary scorer, please. Absolutely.
You know,
I'm gonna mute my mic.
Ingram he can definitely hurt you. He can definitely hurt you because he could do it. You know what I mean? He could do it from inside and he can do it from outside.
That's why I said stop him.
I mean, you know what I mean? I think Jack was right. I think probably the key matchup will probably be Mark Mitchell and Ingram more than anything. If we can take him out the game, you know, I think we might have a better chance. You know what I mean? RJ, it doesn't matter what we do with RJ because he's going to shoot the ball regardless.
Give him his 20.
He's going to put up shots regardless. He's either going to make or miss that shit. Now, the importance of having Flip in the game, and I wasn't saying so much on the offensive end, but it is obviously it's important because he's that threat. But the importance of having Flip in the game is going to be his fucking rebounding. We need his rebounding more than anything. I would argue that we need him to rebound more than we need him to score because the guards can handle the scoring piece. You know what I'm saying? We need somebody to rebound because we know when Flip comes out the game, you have Mark, and then you have Ryan Young or whatever, and we really don't rebound that well when Flip comes out the game. You know what I mean? You have from the wing, you'll have Jared rebounding from the wing and everything, but I don't know, man.
This is why I say I want Flip on Ingram because they don't use Ingram like that. As much as we're saying he can do it, they don't. I see your face, TK. Tell me when they use Ingram like that. I'm about to show you on Coach's Corner tomorrow. They don't use Ingram like that. They don't. He is not their primary guy. Their primary offense is RJ Davis.
No, we know he's not.
Armando Bacot. I'm telling. Yes, they give the ball to Harrison. Harrison Ingram is used like we use Mark Mitchell against his own. They give it to him in the middle of the floor. He passes to whoever he wants to pass to on the outside, and he's opportunistic. He's an opportunistic scorer. He's not a primary scorer. He's not a take.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to be a.
He's not a post scorer.
Primary scorer.
He doesn't have to be, but he does that because you have to pay so much attention to RJ. You have to pay so much attention to Armando, and that's what teams have done, and that's a mistake people make against UNC. Kentucky didn't make that mistake. They said, "I don't give a fuck about Armando Bacot. Let him do his thing," and they shut Harrison Ingram down for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think you need to focus more on keeping Armando off the glass. Nobody's not focused on Armando like them throwing it to him in the block and
but that's what teams try to do. 60. The teams that lose to Carolina try to stop him from scoring on the block. And I know it's foolish. It's very foolish. You're exactly right. It's foolish.
That's foolish
to try to stop Armando Bacot from just doing the traditional back to the basket score in the post. You're foolish to do that. We've proven that the past 5 years that he's been in the program. We've proven that you don't care about what Armando gets you because Armando's going to get what he gets. But you have to shut down the other shit. You got to shut down the Brady Mannings. You got to shut down the RJ Davises. You got to shut down those other dudes that are on top of what Armando does. And I don't agree that you just let RJ Davis run wild. You still have to funnel him to his bad spots. However,
shut down Ingram.
Harrison Ingram's not a primary scorer. He's not a primary offensive player. He's not. I'm telling you right now.
AC, you don't have to be the primary offensive. Obviously, he's not. He's only third leading scorer.
So what I'm saying,
he's a third leading scorer. He's averaging 12 points a game.
What I'm saying is about 8 or 9 rebounds.
Sure. And so what I'm saying is, you can put Flip on Harrison Ingram because Ingram's not going to take you off the bounce. He's not going to take you off the bounce. He's not going to post you up. And they're not going to run any kind of picking plays to get switches for Harrison Ingram. That's not what they do. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying. So if you want to keep flipping the game, if you want to keep flipping the game,
you saying put Mark
if you want to keep flipping the game, put Mark on Bacot, put Mark on Bacot, and let him just do what he does and let Mark float, and then you put Flip on Harrison Ingram so he doesn't get in foul trouble, so he can get these boards like we talking about, so he can do what he does and just rest. He doesn't have to play the primary or secondary offensive player at that point. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not crazy for saying it.
I'm not saying you crazy, but I definitely wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I'm just,
Okay.
I'm just
And
saying
this is
that I
where
wouldn't do.
coaches get
The
paid.
reason why I
This is
wouldn't
where
do
they
that,
get
'cause
paid and they don't get paid. And I might get fired for this. I might get fired for it. Take me off the podcast after this. All right. Seriously,
they
kick me off
definitely,
the podcast on Sunday. But I'm telling you right now, Flip on Ingram would be the matchup I would go with. I would go with that matchup.
We do have a guest on the podcast, so Ben, I do want to come in here and let you.
I'm sorry, Ben. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna go on mute. I got kicked off. I'm going on mute.
Kick you out, BC.
Ben, I want to bring you in here to kind of see how do you see this game going? I think that one thing that obviously Hubert Davis, I think we all agree on this podcast that he's not the coach that John Shire is. But one thing that he has done this year is try to bring back that traditional, get out on the secondary break for Carolina, which is one area where I really believe that Duke has to focus on is getting back in transition and limiting those opportunities, which, to be honest with you, is kind of where Armando gets a good chunk of his buckets this season, is getting out in transition and just beating people down the court. Kind of talk about, you obviously don't watch much Carolina, which I applaud. Talk about Duke's offense and what Duke can do, because we spend a lot of time talking about our defense. But what do you see Duke's offense being able to do against Carolina?
So, what I've noticed about the Blue Devils watching them this season is they adapt to who they are playing. These guys figure out the other team's weak spots. Like you started with Virginia Tech. They were down against Virginia Tech for a while. I had the game on actually before this started, right? And I was watching it. And they take some time to settle in, and then they find their groove. And once they find their groove, it can get deadly for the other team. But because of the issues that we've been talking about all night, okay, the lack of depth at the 4 and the 5 position, sometimes the offense will slow down a little bit. But I think if I am Hubert Davis, the thing that I am worried about is, does Caleb Foster get going? Does McCain get going? When Shire was a freshman, he started hitting big shots against Carolina, right? And he always played well against the Tar Heels. Is it somebody like that who starts making a lot of plays? And you see the team, maybe they're not all 5 moving at once like we need them to, but 3 or so guys are moving. And you're seeing a lot more movement. So here's kind of my takeaway on the game. And this is simple. Sports are simple. We make them much more complicated than they need to be, but it's very simple. Can we control rebounding? Can we find a way to stay out of foul trouble? Because Baycott, let's be real, he's kind of a dirty player, right? Right? Does anybody dispute that? I mean,
A bit of an understatement.
Right.
It's a bit of an understatement.
Right. But he knows how to use his body, and he knows how to position people, and he knows how to pick up fouls. I mean, he's a smart player. He knows what he's doing. He's been there a while. If we can guard him without fouling him, and I like the idea of just letting Baycott score a bunch of points, but otherwise kind of shut him down defensively. So you kind of take away some of those threes, some of those transition opportunities, all those sorts of things. Look, these guys, the Blue Devils will find a way. I mean, they will find a way to score. If it's Roach, if he's like, okay, guys, everybody clear out of the way, I'm going to drive to the basket, take over. If it's Proctor, who's just going to be doing those fadeaway shots, or if he's going to be doing the 3-point shots, he's going to be doing whatever. I don't know if Flip's going to score a lot of points, but I think there's a couple of X factors. If Mark Mitchell gets those dunks near the basket, we are going to all be really happy. If he's getting those dunks near the basket, we're all going to be really happy. So watch a guy like him. I don't think necessarily offensively it'll come down to this, but if Sean Stewart comes in and plays really good defense, if he puts a body on people, if he gets a block here and there, if he causes a steal or disrupts something in transition, that could be enough to put Duke over the edge. Because as much as I like this team, they don't seem to be back to that game against Pitt where they just ran Pitt out of the building. I don't think we're necessarily going to see that from this squad a lot going forward. Maybe we will, but I don't think they're there right now.
No, I mean, they made every shot against Pitt, but I will say I like where your head's at, because Sean Stewart and Caleb Foster could potentially have career nights at Duke against Carolina. There's not a lot of film on Stewart. We said earlier at Countdown to Craziness that if there's going to be one dude that gives you 20 out of the blue, who would it be? A lot of us said Sean Stewart. That could be his night. Foster can give you all types of scoring in minimal minutes. I think he could have that type of night. But I like what AC said a few podcasts ago. Like, this team needs Proctor to score 12 to 15 a night, at least. Like, you're no longer a threat. I need you to get downhill and be a problem. And also play two ways and defend, be the best defender on the court, regardless of the position.
And if he locks in on Davis and he keeps Davis out of the game, or it just holds him to right around his average, Hubert is going to be sweating, right? He's going to be pulling a Gary Williams, okay? And but I'm just saying, to your point about Stewart, he doesn't need to score 20. What did he do when he started coming in and playing finally? It wasn't scoring points. It was grabbing rebounds. It was deflecting shots or redirecting shots.
Just
if he comes in, exactly. If he comes in and gives those energy minutes like Ryan Young was doing against Virginia Tech, that's what we're going to need. That's what we're going to need to see happen. Those kind of things can elevate a team. And Roach is going to go into his mode at some point. He's just going to take people off the dribble and make plays. But it's a question of what happens before that. Is it Caleb Foster stepping up? Is it McCain getting some shots going? And if you're Davis, how do you guard all those guys, right? How do you guard all those guys? Like, we've all talked about the four guards are going to cause problems. So how do you guard all those people if you're Carolina?
You can't. You can't. We haven't even said Ryan Young's name, and he's going to be so important. Ryan Young had integral minutes in that second game we had against UNC last year.
He's going to be a key
Derek
factor.
Lively only played 17 minutes in the second game.
It was foul trouble, right?
He had that incredible first game. Only played 17 minutes second game because of foul trouble. And this is why I don't. This is exactly why I don't want Flip. This is why I don't want Flip on Armando Bacot at all, because at UNC, at Carolina, coming off of a loss against, say what we want about it, coming off a loss against Georgia Tech where refs were a part of the equation, they're going to be looking to call fouls for Armando. I promise you they are. And we know that. We already know that. If we want to say that every team we play is going to shoot 25 for 25 from three, then we damn sure better be able to say that Carolina's going to have 45 fouls called for them. So if we want Flip in the game for rebounding, if we want our guys in the game, we cannot have Flip playing back to the basket defense on Armando Bacot. Maybe it's the secondary defender coming over to help, who gets the foul calls on him, whatever. I don't care. All I'm saying is Flip one-on-one with Armando is going to be in foul trouble. He just is. Say what you want. He just is.
I said that.
I don't want him. I don't want him on Bacot.
But the
Mark
reason
Mitchell
why
Mark Mitchell plays 23 minutes a game. He subbed in with Ryan Young. He subbed in with Sean Stewart. Flip plays 30 minutes a game for us. So that means the subs are not for Flip. The subs are for Ryan Young. The subs are for Sean Stewart. The subs are for Mark Mitchell. So if you're going to sub,
North Carolina going to do?
They're going to try to get him in the switches, which is exactly why I want Flip on Ingram.
So
I want Flip on Ingram.
But regardless of who they're going to try to do, they're going to try to get Flip to guard RJ. So whoever Flip is guarding, that man
if
is
they
going to
run pick and roll with Ingram and RJ,
and they're going to do that.
If they run flip and if they run pick and switch with RJ and Ingram, then good luck to them, because they haven't done that all season.
But you got to think about what's the effect to that though. If you do that though, right? Then you
effect to that is that they haven't done it.
No, but you got a really small player guarding Armando, who's just going to roll and pin whoever he is, whoever's guarding him down under the basket. Throw it into him.
Mitchell on Armando, then they're going to have a small player on him. If you have Mitchell, Ryan Young, and Sean Stewart on Armando, you don't have a really small player on him. If they're trying to target Flip, if they're trying to target Flip and Flip is on Ingram, then you're not going to have a small player on Armando ever, because you're always going to have that big secondary defender on Armando at the entire time. If they're trying to run pick and switch with Ingram and Davis, so Ingram is setting the pick for Davis, and now you're going to get Roach, who's guarding Davis, and now he gets switched over to Ingram. All right, you know what? We can live with that because Ingram's not going to take him to the post and score. He's not. And if he
You're not going
does,
to take who?
then you have secondary help. You have secondary help if Ingram takes Jeremy Roach or Tyrese Proctor or Jared McCain to the post. You have secondary help. That's not flip. You have secondary help with that. That's all I'm saying. If they run,
I hear what you're saying.
If they run the offense through Harrison Ingram as the individual offensive player,
let's not get carried away now. They're not.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's exactly why
that's not what I'm telling you.
I know. I'm just saying that's exactly why I'm saying if you put flip on Ingram, you set yourself up for a better situation than if you just put flip on Armando and just let him foul out with 5 fouls in the first half, because that's what's going to happen against Armando Bacot. It always does. It always has, and it's what's going to happen on Saturday if we just sit in that.
That's going to happen. Whoever's guarding him is going to have a lot of fouls.
Exactly.
You know
Ryan Young's going to foul out.
Why,
Sean Stewart's going to foul out.
At least, I definitely agree with that.
I'd rather that happen than
those guys
flip.
guard him. Sean Stewart might foul out in 2 minutes.
I'd rather that happen than flip foul out.
Real talk. You know what I'm saying? But you need flip on the court, though. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, just from a coaching standpoint, just like everything, bro, like that's why it's counters and everything else. So whatever we do,
exactly,
they ain't gonna do nothing but counter that. So you're gonna give up. You're gonna give something up. So you put flip
last year.
Ingram, Armando's gonna eat.
If we're giving flip up,
played Pete Nance real quick. Sorry, D, real quick. I'm gonna say this in 30 seconds. Flip played Pete Nance last year. He didn't play Armando, and that's why he stayed in every single one of those games. He never had more than 3 fouls.
But we had Lively though. We didn't need him to.
We did have Lively, but Lively is Lively. But Lively was in foul trouble for the second game, and we had Ryan Young come in. All I'm saying is with Mark Mitchell, Ryan Young, and Sean Stewart, you have 15 fouls to use on Armando Bacot, as opposed to the 5 fouls that you have for Flip, and that's it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you. I'm not disagreeing with you totally. I'm just saying though. What I'm saying is that like your philosophy is good, but what I'm saying though, I can already see the counter to that though. Like how North Carolina is going to counter that. So regardless of what we do, Flip is just going to have to be smart because he's going to end up guarding Armando a lot. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the bottom line.
We can't be talking about our best player playing their best player and be like, well, we don't want to get him in foul trouble, so let's go. Let's move him. No. Iron sharpens
iron.
That
happens all the time, D.
That's fine.
You move your best offensive player all the time on somebody that you don't want him guarding. That happens on a regular basis.
You don't move your best defensive player off their best post player.
Flip's not our best defensive player.
In the post, he is.
In the post, he is. He's our only defensive player in the post.
All right, then he's our best.
So why?
Because you let Armando score his inefficient 2 points. Let him score. Let Armando score 45 points, and they'll end the game with 52 points.
All right, so this is obviously not exactly. This is obviously not one that we're going to be able to resolve right here, right now. But one thing we can do.
If you want to see this debate continue, tune into the Patreon for Coach's Corner.
Exactly. I was just going to say
Coach's Corner is going to be a mess.
Jack, if you ever wanted to watch a Coach's Corner, I implore you, now is clearly the time, because there's going to be even more fireworks over there when AC has his takes, Pablo has his. D, God bless you, you're there, and then Jack's gonna be running the sticks. But we got to get a couple of predictions here. That's what we got to do. This is the biggest game we've had all year. So, Ben, you're our guest. Break it down. 30 seconds. What do you see happening? Give me a score.
Duke wins. Tar Heels leave with 2 minutes left because they think it's over. Then it gets tight, but Roach puts it away. Big game. I'm not going to give you a score, but I'm just going to say the Blue Devils win and go to hell, Carolina. Go to hell.
Perfect. D, what do you got?
Oh, man. No score for me. Can I give you, keys to the game?
Yes.
All right, keys to the game. Proctor needs to continue his upward climb. Stock is rising. Keep doing what you're doing. 2 ways, be a threat. And an option on both sides. I think Foster has a big game. I think Stewart might have a big game. Duke scores 80 plus and wins.
There it is. Jack, what do you got?
I am gonna give a score. Give me 83-76, Duke. I think Roach is gonna have a good first half and then kind of fade a little bit in the second half, just because he's still got that ankle a little bit. I think he's gonna start the game really strong, and I think that McCain, Proctor are gonna pick him up in the backcourt. I think Mark's gonna have a big game. Flip, I mean, I don't know. Flip's 50-50 on big game at this point, just any given day. But yeah, give me all that. I think Flip could have a big game. I think Mark will. I think Jeremy's going to start the game strong.
There we go. Pops, what do you got?
You already know, man. I don't make no predictions. You know what I'm saying?
JFW.
Just fucking win.
Just fucking win, bro. Like, I don't care if we win by fucking 1 point. Just win the fucking game. But what I would like to see though, is I would like to see us win. Like I said the last time on a controversial call, something crazy like, you know, RJ going to the basket, Flip step in at the very last minute. They call an offensive foul on RJ when Flip wasn't even set. I'd be good with that.
That'd be so funny.
Same.
Facts. Love that. Yeah, so I'm with D and with Jack. I think if Duke scores 80, we win. I think that does happen. I think if we again cover the defensive transition, we'll be fine. If we have our guards continuing to attack, I think we're going to win this game. I think 82-78 is where I'm at. But Duke's going to win this game. I'm very confident. If you would have asked me this, 96 hours ago, I may have had a
calling
different
for the
answer.
ball. I don't get a prediction.
I'm not done yet.
You weren't gonna let me get a prediction. You were about to end the show.
I was not about to end the show. I was not about to end the show. Now, if you would have asked me that 96 hours ago, I may have had a different answer for you. There's only one way to end this podcast. Is with the fieriest of the fire. AC, what do you got for me, bro?
Look, on the 20-year anniversary, right? 1 day less. The game with Duhan with the reverse layup was on February 4th, 20 years ago, 83-81. So on the 20-year anniversary, it's my duty to not give you an 83-81 prediction, motherfucker. 90-76. We're going to beat that ass. They don't match up with us. I'm sorry. 97-6.
There we go. 97. That's
the AC. Go to fucking hell, Carolina.
That's the AC that we're looking for. Ben, I'll give you the final word.
Fuck. I don't.
Oh, this made my night, guys. This was awesome. Three things I want to say. One, again, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it. Two,
thanks for putting up with us.
We got these ready at the site.
There you go.
Hope, optimism, and balls. Rich Landia, 10-2. That's my dad, Richard. His annual season prediction for Duke football, 10-2. Get your new shirts. Go to bullcitycoordinators.com. You can check it out. While you're there, I had 2 interviews that I did recently, one with former head coach Fred Goldsmith, which was great. But right before that, I did an episode devoted to Roman history. I know a lot of people out there are big history buffs. I had a classics professor from the College of Charleston, Dr. Jennifer Garish, come on. We might make that a recurring segment where we talk about Roman history, so just check that out. But again, guys, thanks a lot for having me on. This has been a blast. And as always, go to hell, Carolina. Go to hell.
Go to hell, Carolina. Go to hell. Always.
Let's go, Duke.
Go to hell, Carolina. Go to hell. Go Duke, baby.
AC, take us away, buddy.
Thank you guys for popping on the 5 Point Play podcast. Thank you, Ben. Bull City Coordinators. Make sure y'all follow on Twitter. You better follow on Twitter. If you listen to the podcast right now, go follow. Don't you dare not follow. This man is always on. We're always on. We're always here with you. Instagram, Twitter. Jack's got the biggest following on Instagram history ever for anybody Duke related.
Ever.
So go follow that, man. If you already followed him, so I don't even know why I'm saying that. Go follow Coach P. Go follow D. TK, you don't have your socials up there. Go find TK, and good luck. Where's Waldo?
Good luck.
Find TK, get a shirt.
I don't give a fuck. Go to hell, Carolina. Go to hell. Let's go, Duke.
Let's go,
Duke.
Go Duke.
Go to hell,
Go
Carolina.
Devils, baby.